This is Adelaide Weddings Forever, a place where we get together with the people you need to plan your perfect wedding.
I think the biggest thing I learnt from that is just try and go with the flow.
That was a great night.
Always very creative. I think that's where the flair comes from.
I'll be asking the I do's and I don'ts from celebrants, photographers, dress designers, venues, DJs and more. They're all here on Adelaide Weddings Forever.
Wait a minute. Is this podcast video? It sure is. We produced it that way. podbooth.com.au. That's where we are. That's the studio here in Adelaide. Andrew and I decided we wanted maximum exposure for his show. We wanted every one of his guests to be everywhere on socials. So, video. That's what we do at Podbooth, and I'm a producer at Podbooth. podbooth.com.au. Let's make magic.
Cassandra Mamone, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you were first creating jewellery when you were 16. So what drew you to jewellery at such a young age?
Yeah, so it all started just from beading jewellery, basically, a little hobby that I really enjoyed doing.
So that's just putting beads on
string, basically, or fishing wire. And yeah, I used to go into the bead stores and look at all these pretty colours and get creative about what I wanted to make. You know, do I want to make earrings from this pretty pink bead or a necklace out of that stone? So it started like that. And then I had friends and family asking, oh, can you make me a piece? And I thought, oh, wow, okay, yeah. And then they started giving me money. So I'd get $15 here, $10 there. And I was like, wow.
More beads.
Yeah, exactly. And I was really enjoying it. So that was the moment that I thought, oh, I can actually do something I enjoy and I can make money from it. So that's essentially how it started. And in year 12, my mother said to me, Cassandra, when you finish high school, I want you to get a degree. I want you to do something where you actually can show a degree. Yeah. And I'm looking through, you know how at the end of year 12, they give you this big book. They're like, decide your future. And I'm looking through this book and I see a Bachelor of Visual Arts and Applied Design, and I could major in jewellery making. And I was like, wow, tick, it's a degree. Tick, it's jewellery. This is the one. And so I did. I went to Adelaide Centre for the Arts, and that's where I completed a 3-year bachelor degree in visual arts and applied design.
So all the way through high school, you weren't thinking about jewellery?
No, it was still a hobby. Yeah, it was still a hobby in high school. Yeah, and you know, I was big in the drama club. I loved being on stage. I was always very right brain dominant, so always very creative. So yeah, I think that's where the flair comes from.
Wonderful. It's great that you can take what you're passionate about and make a living out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it pays off because you've gone from strength to strength. You're no longer beading onto fishing line anymore, I'm guessing.
Well, nah, just I'm taking a step up from that, you know, gold and diamonds now. So it's definitely a step up from a few steps up.
Talking about diamonds, I noticed on your website you say you don't like using lab-grown diamonds.
Correct, yeah. Oh, so you like to do your research.
I do my research.
Love that.
I take this show very seriously.
Yeah.
So
it's a no from us.
Can you explain the difference
between it natural?
Obviously, one's natural and one's grown on land, but it's the same carbon.
Constitutionally, yeah, it's still the same. I shouldn't say still the same because I don't believe it's the same personally. It's not any greener because there's a lot of resources used to grow it in a lab.
You mean like power-wise?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not the colour green.
Yeah, no.
So essentially, I'm very holistic in my whole way of life, from the foods that I eat to even the clothing I wear. I like to be as close to nature as possible. So when this whole trend in lab growns started, I just knew intuitively that it wasn't an avenue I was going to go down. I thought, if I'm not going to wear it, I'm not going to try and sell it, because my ethics have to remain close to my heart, as in what I would wear is what I would essentially want someone that buys from me wearing. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was going to say, Is there a price point difference? Like if
There's
someone,
an absolute massive price point
so that's
difference.
what people are attracted to, is that I'm
Yeah,
guessing a lab-grown diamond's a lot
correct.
cheaper.
A lot cheaper. And now what's happened is De Beers are mainly concerned with their natural diamond mining, etc. They released a diamond, I believe, you'd have to fact check this, but it was somewhere above a 3 carat or around a 3 carat stone. And they released it for a price point of, let's just say, $800. So they completely smashed the market in making lab growns essentially look cheap.
Right.
To the point now where it's like, well, if you've got a lab grown, it means nothing. Like I look at, and I feel for people that have invested in them because now they're not even being insured for the value that you pay for them.
Right.
So I will always steer as close to natural as possible. I believe it's a massive trend, lab growns. They're still talking about it, only the future. Like I can't predict the future, but essentially if you look at how they're projecting downwards in their value, it is what it is. Like that's foreseeing enough to know the future in them. And people did it because, girls want a big diamond on their hand. And the price point was just kind of too good to refuse, I guess. But essentially I look at it as, well, if you're just after size, you could go for a gemstone or something like that. That is definitely our way of looking at it because natural diamonds are a real investment. And I don't see labs as an investment. However, time will tell, I guess.
So every Cassandra Mamone
piece is
is
natural.
a natural real diamond.
I unfortunately had a client that booked in with me and this is one of the first times this has ever happened. He brought his own stone. And when you book in with me, there is a fee, but it's redeemable on your purchase. And this poor fella brought in a lab-grown diamond with him. So number one, I won't set a loose stone. I'll remodel. So I'll take stones out of other people's pieces, heirloom pieces, to recreate something beautiful. But yeah, he brought a loose stone and it was lab grown and I was like, oh no.
And you can tell straight away?
I think he had his certificate with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, you can't actually. That's the thing. Like they're par and par. It's just I think a lot of it is the meaning it has for you and also the value. If they're not being insured for the value you're paying for them, then I think something's wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I said to him, oh, how did you find out about me? And he's like, my sister and my girlfriend are big fans of your work. And I was like, oh. And I had to, unfortunately, it was one of those situations I had to turn him away. And I said, oh, just, with the $300 fee, just redeem it on wedding bands or something online. And yeah, so that is it's just a trend right now. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Lots of people walking around with labs, but.
And they don't know it necessarily. Perhaps.
Perhaps, yeah, exactly. That's very true as well.
Well, another aspect of your jewellery probably comes from your heritage. Southern Italy.
Yes.
Your parents both from Calabria.
Yes, you got it.
Very beautiful part of the world.
Beautiful.
Lots of beaches, lots of cliffs, natural beauties. So how has that influenced your jewellery?
Well, I've actually been to Calabria twice now and it is beautiful. And I've been to where my parents were both born. My parents have obviously spoke very highly of their native land. And, they would say, oh, it's the mountains meet the sea there and it's very stunning. And it is very stunning. It's beautiful. Travel inspires me a lot and Italy included in that. It's definitely, when I've been to Europe in winter and in summer now, but it always is very inspiring. One, to see what women wear in each different part of any country I go to. The women are different. They wear different clothing. And then in Italy, if you go to Florence, as an example, and you do the Ponte Vecchio and you see all the gold there, it's very inspiring to
to be able to see what people are loving and the trends that are big in Italy. Because as you know, Italy really takes the lead in trends. And
Places like Milan are the fashion houses of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that heritage plays a big part, not to mention how my parents raised me as well. So both born in Italy, both, dad, when he came to Australia, was to marry my mum. So essentially my mum came with her family to Australia when she was about 12. Then when she was 21, she went back to Italy with my godparents. Obviously they weren't my godparents yet, as her chaperones. And then she saw my dad, who she'd known as a child, and she saw him, and then he basically proposed within a couple of months, proposed to her. And then, he came over when he was about 22 and worked really, really hard to build a life for his family. And I see those strong ethics, and I am a lot like my dad. And then I obviously love my mum's caring, motherly, strong-headed nature. So I think I take a lot from both of them. So
the meaning of family in the Italian culture is very, it's very strong.
Yeah, you would know, you're married to
I am married to an Italian, yes. Did you have any grandparents' pieces that maybe
I wish I was, to be honest, I wish I was lucky enough to have been handed down some heirloom pieces. It just didn't happen that way. I was handed, in 2017, my mum gave me all my gold from my baptism and communions. Being Italians, you get a lot. Yes, exactly. You get a lot of gold and pieces. And I remember saying to my mum, and it was in the midst of my jewellery career, I was like, I don't want them, Ma. And she goes, you've got to figure it out. They're yours.
Mm-hmm.
And I was about to put them in as scrap and just get cash back for them. You can hand in your gold and get cash value back for it. But I took a look at these pieces. Now, one of them I'm wearing right now. This was a little baptism pin. So that section there had a pin on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it and I thought, you know what? I can do something with this. And I think this is where my whole creativity for remodeling started to happen. So I looked at it and then I saw this chain, which was in another pile of gold, and I thought, okay, well, I can create this with that. And I did that with several of the pieces and ended up using all the gold and keeping all of it to create new pieces for myself.
So would that have had an engraving on it?
No, it didn't actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was completely plain. It was ready to be engraved, but obviously Mum never did anything with it. Yeah, I think there were a couple of other pieces that were engraved that I didn't do anything with. But yeah, that started my whole remodeling, repurposing people's jewellery, and I've become quite known for doing that.
I was going to ask, so if someone comes to you saying, we're getting married, this is my grandmother's ring.
Yes.
Bit worn, weak in places, you can remodel, fix, or completely pull it apart and make something new.
All of the above. Normally I'll sit with them and get a feel for their style and how sentimental it is as well to them. What elements they really want to keep, whether they wear yellow, say it's yellow gold, whether they wear yellow gold. And then I kind of, in my creative brain, work out a style or whether we can repair it or something that will suit them best. And then go from there to design something for them.
Something either remodel or something unique.
Yeah, exactly. Either taking the stones from it or, it's a really fun process,
I was
remodeling.
thinking that'd be rewarding, being able to give birth back, rebirth something that's...
Absolutely. I had a client recently that she put a call out on her social media asking her followers, who do you recommend for a remodel? She said, I've been sitting on my mother's engagement and wedding band for 18 years. Her mother had passed away a long time ago. And because they were so sentimental to her, obviously, she wanted to remodel them, but obviously, them be taken care of. Absolutely. She was so hesitant to do it because they meant so much. So she put out this call on her social media, and when she came to visit me, she said, everyone said your name. Everyone. She goes, I asked about remodeling and everyone mentioned you. And I was like, that makes me so happy. And when the pieces...
That's real trust. That's not just skill, that's trust.
absolutely. That's a nice way of putting it. And when the pieces were completed, she was just overwhelmed with joy and, put it on her social media. She was so thankful, adores her pieces. So, and, in that, it was really interesting because as we were going over designs, she had, I believe it was 3 main stones from the engagement ring. And I remember saying to her, how about we keep the stones from the engagement ring? If we're wanting to do a couple of rings for you to wear, let's keep them together. Let's not pull the let's not pull them apart, as in put them in separate pieces. And she really liked that idea. She liked the idea of keeping them together. So, yeah, it's quite special.
Yeah.
It's quite special.
It would be.
Yeah, and you hear some lovely stories too.
If you'd like to work with me, Andrew Wirral, as your wedding videographer, you can get in touch via the Instagram page, Adelaide Weddings Forever. Why did you become part of the GIA?
So, yes, I am an alumni of the Gemological Institute of America. If you know anything about the 4 C's, which is the diamond grading system, cut, colour, clarity, carat. There's always one I forget. I'm just surprised that came off so smoothly. I'm always like, hold on, which one did I say? They are the biggest diamond grading system in the world. And all the main diamonds we source are graded by the GIA. So when I started my business, or a couple of years in, I wanted to be recognised by them. I wanted my clients
It's like a professional body.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted my clients to know that I was affiliated with them also. So I was lucky enough to get a scholarship with them for e-learning, because I remember the course was not cheap by memory. And so I was really lucky enough that they gave me a scholarship, or a part scholarship, whatever it was. And I did my diamond essentials with them and then my diamond grading with them, all via e-learning. And yeah, I've got my certificates, which sit up in my studio space. And I am an alumni. I get invited to all these events in America, and I'm like, yeah, one day I will come to one of those.
You're too busy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the GIA for you. So it's it's all around the world, and it's a big diamond grading institution.
Okay, so a couple's interested in getting you to design their wedding bands. What's the process? How long does it take? What can they expect from a Cassandra Mamone
experience. Yeah.
The Cassandra Mamone experience.
Love that. So essentially it starts with the clients booking in online. So making an appointment, coming in, you'll sit with, it depends who you've booked with. If you've booked with me or one of my design consultants. And if you're sitting with me, we'll go through, first of all, if it was an engagement ring, I'll go through the GIA, the 4 C's with you, the diamonds we source, because we are very stringent in our diamond sourcing. If we're talking about wedding bands, you'll try on different pieces and we'll get a feel for what suits the engagement ring well. So what complements your hand, skin tone. With the guys are normally straightforward. Although I'm doing
simple.
Yeah, although I'm doing a really bougie men's ring at the moment. So the guys are pretty straightforward generally. Otherwise, they might have inspo if they want stones in it or something like that. So it's about trying on from there. Once I've got a feel for what they're after and we've chatted about styles, then essentially they get quoted on their design. They'll agree to whatever ones they like or that have been quoted, and then we'll start the process, and it's handmade. The pieces are handmade. So they're looking at about 4 to 6 weeks. If it's wedding season, you're looking at about a minimum of 5 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. For wedding bands, generally couples, everyone's completely different. You could literally start off with, something like our memory ring, which is one of our most popular engraved pieces. You can get it in flat profile, half round profile, and different widths. So basically think of a band of gold in 2 mil, 3 mil, 4 mil, and you can go wide from there. And those are our best sellers online because they're just so personal, because you can engrave them with your wedding date or something special or initials, and you can add diamonds. And those ones start from literally, I think they start from about the $800 mark.
Right.
So, and they can be obviously wedding bands. We do them as wedding bands
but you
all
can
the time.
customize them
Completely.
like you were saying.
Yeah.
stones.
Add diamonds, yeah. So essentially for a wedding band, I mean, that's a starting point. Obviously, the bougier you get with diamonds, the more the price will go up. And, you know, if you get a full band of diamonds, there's more labor involved in that, more diamonds. So, yeah. You just set aside when you're getting married, just set aside a couple of thousand for your wedding bands, I would say, to be safe. Yeah.
But it doesn't take that long. Like you were saying, even in peak season,
no.
2 months. Sort of thing.
Yes, yeah. Minimum 5
2
weeks. Yeah, exactly. And it can extend out to a couple of months.
So I would think probably for a lot of couples, the wedding bands are one of the first things they start thinking of because it starts it can start at the engagement.
You know, a tip I have, it starts at the engagement, absolutely. But a tip I have, and I do see this a lot, is brides will spend a lot on a wedding dress that they wear for one day. And then the worst thing you can do is try to skimp on the band that you're going to wear every day for the rest of your life. Don't do that.
No.
So I would definitely advise spend a little bit more on your wedding bands and make sure you completely love it. If you can, spend a little bit less on your dress or your shoes. I mean, you want to look beautiful, but yeah, just remember that.
Yeah, that's a good point because to spend thousands and thousands on a wedding dress is normal.
Yeah.
And then they try and skimp on rings.
Yeah.
Because I suppose because of the size, they think it's something small.
Small, exactly. Exactly.
But it's time versus size.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah. So there you go.
Well, in 2018, you launched your first wedding bands featuring opals. Now, that's something I've never seen before. So what was your inspiration for opals?
So in 2018, we released Australiana collection, which had a real focus on opals, which is beautiful. You know, your native Australian stone, which is really nice. And South Australian does a lot of mining on opals, which is great. And this collection was just important to really showcase Australia and the Australian woman. Like the model I had was this beautiful, I don't want to say typical Australian, but like your surfy looking, gorgeous Australian gal. And we also launched it in Melbourne, which was phenomenal. Like it was a great launch party and it did really, really well. And opals, you'll find I've done engagement rings with opals. It's a really unique market and niche. There's a lot of international clients that do love opals, and then you'll find there's a lot of Australian clients also. They're softer than diamonds, so you have to care for them. You know, if you're wearing them every day, you have to take a bit more extra care. But I think it was really just to showcase, when I released that, and I still love working with opals, it was really just to showcase what Australia has to offer.
I was going to say, as an Australian designer that sells to the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's something completely unique.
Absolutely. And they're beautiful. They're beautiful stones. So funny enough, when I launched the opal collection, Australiana, in Melbourne, was when one of the girls that had been on a previous season of The Bachelor met me. She met me at the dinner that night when I launched the collection. And she said, "Why are you single?" And I was like, "Oh, babe, you tell me." She was really sweet. And she goes, "I'm putting your name forward to casting." And then they poached me. So it was all because of the Australiana collection that then it's, you know, everything happens for a reason, and it spiraled and trickled down to me ending up on reality TV, which absolutely helped the business 100%.
Yeah.
And it was great. And I don't regret anything, even though in Paradise it was a bit more of a different experience for me. But still, I'd say any press is good press.
So I've been through your Instagram and found some lovely looking rings. Is there a story behind any of these?
There's normally a story behind everything.
Everyone.
Absolutely. This piece here is our Tres Pedras ring. So that was from our Reina collection. It was shot in Lisbon, Portugal, like that particular collection piece. And now it's just become so popular among my clients. It's a 3-stone engagement ring. And people love the symbolism of 3 as it means past, present, future.
Oh, okay.
So there's a bit of a story there with it. And this particular client, he opted for a bigger centre stone and slightly smaller side stones just to enhance that centre stone. So it came out beautiful.
That's a stunning ring.
Thank you. Oh,
That's quite unique.
yeah,
This
absolutely.
one's quite unique. So
Yeah, so you've got our emerald elegance ring. So a beautiful, elegant emerald cut diamond on a fine band. And then you have the celestial ring, which is, I love designing. I really do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But that ring, the trilliants. So trilliants are a 3-sided diamond,
right.
right? They've got 3 sides. And I've put them back to backs and then points to points in this unique design. And whilst that ring is not cheap, it's quite popular.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that many diamonds, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
It would be. Oh, yeah, that's on the budget range.
And they're decent sized
Yeah.
diamonds as well. So, yeah.
Okay,
What
what
else you
about
got
the
for me?
next one? What have we got here?
Oh, so this client came to see me. It was a remodeled piece, and she had these diamonds from, I believe it was her mother's old ring or her grandmother's, and she tried on our trilliant cluster ring, and I was able to reset her stones in a similar design to that, and she absolutely loved it.
I'm not
Yeah,
surprised.
it's stunning. Thank you.
And bringing the sentimentality of an heirloom to it.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely. It's so nice. People come in with the most gorgeous things from their loved ones.
And would that be
Some people
rose
are
gold, or is
lucky.
that just a reflection?
That one
of
was
the-
actually yellow gold.
Oh, yellow,
Yeah,
right.
I think it's a reflection
It's
and the
just a
filter
reflection
on
of
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's beautiful. So my client, I did her engagement ring, wedding bands. She's been a long time client. She came to see me, and another beautiful, sentimental, emotional story. Her grandmother has passed, and she wanted something to commemorate her grandmother. And I said to her in the appointment, because I know my client, Jess, she won't mind me mentioning her name. She's a she's a July baby. I was going to say
Right.
Cancerian. She's a July baby like me. So rubies are her birthstone. And I said to her, what birthstone was your grandmother? And she goes, oh, she was born in July, so ruby. So I said, well, this is a beautiful way to commemorate her, and it's got your birthstone too. So it's diamonds and rubies in a beautiful marquee design. It's different. And she just messaged me the other day saying, she goes, I get compliments on my ring all the time.
The opals.
Opals. So you're loving these remodels. This was a client's. She had those stones, those opals, and she tried on one of my rings, which looks like that, but with diamonds. And I said, easy, we can put the opals in there to create this style. And isn't it gorgeous? Like it's
unique.
It's so unique.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That must bring you a lot of pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, you should see once rings are finished, it's just like, oh, stunning. Yeah. And then seeing the clients' faces.
You leave at that meeting with that client feeling really excited about having something unique and special to work on.
And sometimes I'll be like, when they sit down, I'm hiding their piece going, okay, you ready? I love it. And that one, that's my good friend Mary. Mary and I became best friends on the series The Bachelor, which we were both on, and then we were both in Paradise. And Connor, she actually met in Paradise. So this was one of the success stories from those reality TV shows. They met there, and they've had, I think Mary's pregnant with their 3rd child now, and he proposed, and the ring is absolutely gorgeous. I had to just think about what Mary would want, and I created this ring, which is pear center diamond and then a halo of diamonds around it and then diamonds on the band. And it's 2-tone as well, so it's rose gold and white gold. And what was funny was while we were waiting for Connor to propose, Mary would comment on our pieces on our Instagram page. And sometimes she would comment on an oval. Sometimes she would comment on a pear. Sometimes it'd be a round
Gave you
3-stone.
No guidance whatsoever.
And I was just thinking to myself, oh my gosh, she better love this ring. But I knew she would. And I spoke to her just last week on the phone and she absolutely loves it. Yeah.
Have you ever had a client come back and go, no, don't like it, take it back? No.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really had that. But can you, like, obviously girls always want bigger. So a guy might, have the engagement ring made. And then some of my friends that have got an engagement go, how much is it to get a bigger one? And I'm like, can you relax? It's big enough.
Where was this photo taken?
I don't know. Is that Macca's in London? That looks like Patty.
It does.
So one of my clients, can you imagine being proposed to in Paris? Just stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning. Beautiful morganite ring. Gorgeous.
Not
Gorgeous
mono
photo.
patty.
Patty.
No,
What was that?
Not mono patty.
What's that?
Mono para.
Oh, that's definitely not in Manopati. That's a good one.
Your jewellery gets taken around the world.
Oh,
Or
and it,
bought around the world.
yeah, bought around the
loved
world
around
as
the
well.
world.
Yes, absolutely. Isn't that so nice that even if they were an Australian, because I get lots of Australian clients, obviously, even if they were, say, from New South Wales, the ring is going to Paris.
Can't get more
And it
authentic
happens,
than that.
I've had clients propose in Greece. I've had clients propose. I've had one of my American clients, he proposed in Utah or something like that. And it was just beautiful. The photos were beautiful just with the snow. And she picked one of my favorite pieces, the butterfly ring, which is this wide band with marquee diamonds. Well, he picked it. I think she loved it. And then he picked it and surprised her. So many stories.
Yeah. Well, Cassandra, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was lovely talking to you and hearing all about diamonds and the 4 C's or the 5 C's, whatever it was.
You got it right the first time. 4.
The 4 C's. Okay.
I'm the 5th C.
You're the 5th C.
Cassandra.
Perfect. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you'd like to work with me, Andrew Wirral, as your wedding videographer, you can get in touch via the Instagram page, Adelaide Weddings Forever.